Okay, a lot of inquiring minds out there wondering, how was Biden's ouster from the campaign actually engineered? Well, according to Politico, Nancy Pelosi made clear that the Bidens could do this the easy way or the hard way. She gave him 3 weeks of the easy way, and it was about to be the hard way. Joining us now, Rod Blagojevich, former governor of Illinois. Rod, good to see you tonight. Wow. This sounds like she made Biden an offer he couldn't refuse.
Well, it's funny, she's not from Chicago, but there's a lot of Chicago politics in what just happened to President Biden. Obama is an expert at it. He learned well. Both Obama and I came up in Chicago politics. I've known him since 1995. We rose up together, and then I was brought to ruin by that kind of politics. And it's the politics of lies. It's the politics of manipulation. It's the politics of backstabbing. And it all comes out of the back room. And, you know, today's new Democrat political bosses are not the cigar-chomping guy with the pinky ring. They are now, you know, impressive-looking, appealing people like Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama, because they did this to him. There's no question about it. I know exactly what they did and how they did it, and I saw it coming weeks in advance. The only mistake I made was I thought Biden would have the fortitude and the backbone to resist that and not quit. But not everybody's like Donald Trump.
Yeah, what do you think they might have said to him? I mean, they've known the polls have been pretty grim for a long time, so I'm not buying the we showed him a binder full of polls. I don't buy that. I think there was something else involved here. When the Obamas or the Pelosi, when they're involved, it's not as straightforward.
Well, whatever skeletons in the closet that Joe Biden has, and my suspicion is he's got closets full because he's been in politics and been in Washington since 1973. Pelosi knows them. Obama knows them. They vetted him. Obama's presidential campaign did. So they got all the dirt on Biden, and my guess is that that stuff was whispered to him, either directly or through third parties. It was probably whispered to Jill Biden, maybe even to the son. So on the one hand, they used the stick. On the other hand, they used the carrot. And the carrot is probably all kinds of things that they promised him if he agreed to quietly step out and get out of the way and get out of the race. And what they did basically, Laura, is they've committed a fraud on Democratic voters. They made suckers out of the 14 million Democrat primary voters who voted for Biden. And so this is another. Yes.
But Rod, I have to say, Kamala Harris, she came out today, shows up at Biden headquarters. This is what she said.
What kind of country do we want to live in? A country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law?
Yes!
Or a country of chaos, fear, and hate?
No!
Chaos, fear, and hate. Oh my God! That's painful. All right, so it's the same old. So it's the same. It's what Biden was saying, basically, right? It's no different. It's just she's going to be 60 on Election Day, and he would have been 81.
The Democrats today are the biggest hypocrites in American political history. This is the party that says they're running to save democracy, yet they weaponize the Department of Justice to go after Trump. And now Biden was thrown out of office, basically, essentially told not to run, being maneuvered by Obama in the back rooms and doing what they did to get him to step out and not run and disenfranchise the voters in the primaries who voted for him. They're the ones who are a threat to democracy, and this is among the reasons why it is critical for the American people to vote for President Trump to stop this, particularly the weaponization. And this is coming from a guy who was a Democrat and the first governor to endorse Obama back in 2008. We go way back together. And I know what's at stake here, and I know what they did to me, and I see what they're doing to Trump, and I see how they're lying to the American people.
And mostly the American people are the ones who are really going to suffer if this thing goes forward. Rod, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.